So you want to be an MVP tank with Paladin. Welcome back to Cocky Gadgets, and in this video I'm going to share with you guys my personal MVP tank build for Paladin that I have sort of improvised. I've sort of do some tweaks here and there. I'm just going to give a disclaimer, it might not fit your ideal tank build, but this is what I feel works for me. And for PvP itself, I'm not going to touch on this video because the skills are drastically different for my PvP build, and I'm going to explain it in the subsequent video where I touch on the PvP tank build. So first, this is my stats build for a MVP build, you can see here, and I have added 99 into Vitality. Quite self-explanatory, you always want Vitality because you want more health. And then for the rest of the stats, I've added into a G instead of Intel. So the reason is because I want to be able to attack faster so that my Martel's Reckoning can trigger a bit faster. I know that people will say that, hey, you don't have a plus 15 weapon, right? Even if you attack faster, you're not going to deal Martel's Reckoning damage because there's a cooldown. But personally, I think that this is much more efficient because if you were to deal the Martel's Reckoning the first 5 hits quite fast, right? You are able to trigger like a huge amounts of like HP deficit, and then you would be able to be healed back by your priest instead of being like slowly healed back by other people's sanctuary. There's a chance that other people's sanctuary might heal you. So this is just for MVP considerations, a bit min-maxy, but I know that people don't really think about that, but this is just how I function. So next is going to be my HP. You can see, right, in the previous video my HP is a bit lower, but right now I have already optimized the build a bit more. So this is 116k, which scales with the Martel's Reckoning, so I can do even more self-harm with more HP. So this is really quite good. This is basically the stats build. I don't think there's any other way to add it, so to speak. If you have a plus 15 weapon, I think that it's still going to be the same. You just want a G so that your attack speed is going to be higher. Now moving on to my skill build, you can see right here, this is my first drop. You can just copy if you want, right? 5 in Bash, 5 in Magnum Break, and then 10 in Provoke. Provoke very important, and then 10 in Endure. I seldom use Endure, but it's still going to be useful in some circumstances. Sword Mastery 0, and then Increased Recovery is 10. And the reason why I don't use Sword Mastery here is because I don't use a sword for the tank build. Later I'm going to explain to you guys from the gear part. So here I have a second job skill, and then I have 1 in Riding and then 5 in Cavalier Mastery. So 6 points in this. I think that the Cavalier Mastery as well as the Grand Peko is very, very important for a tank Paladin because we don't have charge attack anymore, right? Of course, you can have a Furious Purpouring card, but I don't have that. So without a charge attack, you are going to rely a bit more on the movement speed to find the boss, right? You know that finding boss is very important. If you get the first strike, if you arrive first, definitely it's going to play a part in containing and getting aggro. And then the next one is going to be 10 in Faith. So 10 in Faith, self-explanatory, 3000 HP, and the bad part is that you take 30% less holy damage. However, it's not going to matter too much because not a lot of monsters or MVPs actually use holy attacks. Providence 5 is just so that I can unlock Auto Guard. So Auto Guard is better for some of the bosses where you really need to survive, especially the new ones, right? The Glass Helm ones, I really can't survive, so Auto Guard can probably help me survive 1 or 2 hits, especially when they 1-hit kill me all the time. So this is going to be relevant. And the good thing about Auto Guard that I don't like about parry is that there is no passive effect. So you don't have to worry about adding parry and then there's a passive chance that it's going to trigger and then reduce your damage taken. This will not happen with Auto Guard. You can choose to not use it when you don't want to use it. So very, very good. Next is going to be 5 points in Spike. This is just to unlock Protection, and 3 points in Protection so that we can unlock subsequent skill Fortitude over here in the Trance second job. So 3 points in this. If you're asking me why I don't add 5 points to get extra hatred, just listen to me, guys. Listen to me. Provoke supersedes everything, right? All your hatred nonsense. Don't try to theory craft anything on it. You can choose not to believe me. You can go on and do all your theory crafting. What I'm telling you is just use Provoke, just spam Provoke. Rest of the stuff doesn't matter. Okay, so 1 in Demon Bean. This can be added to Shield Boomerang to get the first hit easier. So this is a substitute for your charge attack, but personally I added it into Demon Beam because I probably added wrong. Okay, there's no other reason. Honestly, you should add it to Shield Boomerang. You can add it to Spear Mastery if you want to get a bit more damage, but honestly not the most important. And then of course, moving on to our Trance second job skills, there is going to be 5 in Fortitude like I've mentioned. There is 0 in Shield Reflect and 0 in Defending Aura. Honestly, not enough skill points, and Shield Reflect is going to reflect very little, and this is an additional skill that you have to cast, so I don't think this is going to be worth it. And then the 10 in devotion is quite important, so people might think that, hey, devotion is not good in MVP scenarios because anyways my teammates are not going to be able to take damage, right? So what I can tell you is that in some scenarios your teammates are going to take damage, and for you to take 130% of this damage, right, to yourself as damage taken is very valuable. And the second thing is that with the sigil that I'm going to touch on later, with your class sigil, you're going to want to devote the highest DPS target just to buff your teammates so that they get 5% physical attack as well as magic attack. So this one very important. Spear quicken 5 points because we don't have any more points left, right? And then also 5 points you need it to trigger to unlock the Martel's Reckoning over here. This is your main self damage skill so that you are able to obtain those valuable like self healing as well as those healing points for your team. Very important. I cannot stress this more, right? And 10 points in Spear Quicken if you have a plus 15 weapon. You can probably drop in Better Chant. For me myself, no plus 15 weapon, I'll go for Better Chant. It's going to help my team deal more damage, which is much more important than me dealing any form of damage. So this is about it for the skill build. Now moving on to the gear, I'm going to start first with the level 50 and move my way up very simply as always, right? So first one, for your shield, you definitely want the Holy Guard over here because it increases the effectiveness of your faith, meaning you're going to get more HP out of it. So Vit HP, very effective. Definitely go for Holy Shield. And then for your weapon, go for Longhorn because it's going to recover 2% of your max HP every 10 seconds. This is going to count as healing done. And also your physical attacks have a 10% chance for you to auto cast level 3 heal, so this is going to heal you up. Once again, healing done, very important. And then you are always going to be normal attacking with Martel's Reckoning anyways, so this is going to be relevant. And this is also a reason why you want a G, because you're going to have a higher chance of triggering this auto casted heal level 3. For some people that are asking me why I don't add heal to level 10, because honestly not enough skill points, and also this build doesn't have intel, so it's not going to heal that much of a difference, right, between level 10 and level 3. So 10 points is way too much of a sacrifice for me. For your armor, just go for full plate, and then the rest just go for the Eden Group Cloak. This is so that you can increase your HP. Everything is about HP, very simple. Moving on to your accessories for level 60, this is where you come in with a necklace. Always going to use this. Even if you are going to level up to level 80 plus, you're still going to be using this unless you get the golden foot ring. So other than that, keep using the necklace. Always going to be relevant with the Vit, with the HP, very insane. Next is going to be level 70. Everything stays exactly the same. I'm just going to skip it. Once we go to level 80, this is where the changes come, because level 80, although your shield stays the same, Holy Guard stays the same, Longhorn stays the same, you're going to now have the Godney set. This is going to give you ludicrous amounts of HP as well as your Vit. As you can see, these powders over here, right, still gives you a lot of HP, and then the shoes over here also gives you a lot of max HP as well as raw HP. So definitely go for this set, no questions asked. For the accessories, like I mentioned, right, level 85 is going to be golden foot ring. So this is Vit plus 4, and then also gives you at plus 10, which is also why the reason why I want my ring to be plus 10 is because healing taken plus 5%. This is going to affect your healing score, very important. And then next is going to be level 95. So you can see that there is a Dark Knight gloves. So for non plus 15, I think that Dark Knight gloves is going to be better. Max HP plus 2%. For plus 15, you're going to want to go with Dark Knight belt, and if you have 2 plus 15, that's the best, right? 12% max HP for 2 of those. If you don't have, just use this for now. Now as for the rest of your gear here, I'm just going to roughly showcase what I'm using. So I'm using this watermelon hat over here, max HP plus 3%. I do think that other hats also have max HP plus a few percent, right? I think the pouring hat has 1%. So just get max HP. That is very important. And then for this itself, I have a healing bandage. It gives me healing taken 5%, healing done 5%, as well as max HP 5%. I think this is a BIS for any MVP builds because it increases the healing amount that you're going to receive, and also your auto heal is going to get a bit more of this boost. HP recovery also comes in clutch because healing done is also included in this. So next one is going to be this pouring backpack. Honestly, I've been using this pouring backpack since forever. Vit plus 5, really very useful. I'm nothing here because I'm saving all my gacha tickets, right? So yeah, for the rest of them, you can just see see that I'm also using this Colorful Melon. There is a chance that you are going to restore HP and SP. This is for me when I grind at low level mobs, and also for MVP because I'm going to restore a bit more HP. Damage is not my concern, 1.5%, whatever. I'm not going to switch it for something with 3%. As for my weapon over here, I've crafted a Longhorn level 50. People might be asking why you don't craft a level 80. Because I'm cheapo like that, I don't have enough Zanny, and also level 50 and level 80 not going to a big difference because Sacrifice or Martel's Reckoning doesn't take in physical attack, or rather it takes in, but only the normal attack portion takes in physical attack, so it's very minute boost. Definitely not worth it to go for a level 80. If you're short on cash, just go for a level 50, and honestly the Refined 0 also fine because I'm just going to get the max HP 2% here. If you really want to min-max, you can go for the Healing Taken plus 6 over here, right? But for me, I'm just going to wait until level 90 before I make the switch to the Divine Armament so that I can get the free Longhorn as well as the free shield upgrade to Holy Shield. Now as for the cuts, everything that gave HP is fair game, just go for HP. Everything go into HP. So you can see, right, this head itself has a Max Awaken Marten cut. Okay, even though I'm running short on Zanny, I still continue to get a Marten cut Max Awaken very cheap, honestly. 300 HP as well as 1.5% max HP. You don't get it, it's really your loss. And here I'm using this Angeling Puppet over here, 6% max HP, very valuable, 2 slotted. Next is going to be Peko Peko cut, self-explanatory, because you want max HP. Megalodon cut, I should have awakened it, but very lazy and quite cheapo, don't want to use it. Eclipse cut, you want Vit plus 3, the max HP plus 3% is going to be good, but my Refine just don't want to pass, not my fault. For the boots itself, I've changed to Sohi for extra max HP, so this is going to be better in my opinion. And then here I did awaken another Muka cut, so to level 10. I think level 10 is a breakpoint, after which, because it only adds physical attack and magical attack, so it's not going to be relevant. And then the last one, I believe it adds HP recovery, so not the most relevant as well. So here as the same, like another awakened Muka cut. I'm using Osiris Illusion cut because most of the time I want to avoid deaths, especially when it comes to tanking. So sometimes I'll just remove my armor to increase the damage taken, remove everything. So I might die accidentally. With this, I wouldn't die. And then that is my cue to know that either my priest is slacking or my armor needs to be increased. So I'll wear back some of my armor. So that is just basically how I do it. Also, before I forget, one card that is very important is going to be this Hunter Fly card. It's going to help you survive because you have a 3% chance to heal yourself for 15% of the damage dealt to enemies. This is very relevant. However, if you do not trigger this on one of your hits, whereby you are using Martel's Reckoning, it's going to be a bit more underwhelming, but hopefully it will trigger on those hits. And then lastly, we are going to move to the enchants. This one is quite self-explanatory. Everything is focused on shining, so get as much shining as possible over here, and over here. So 3 of this shining, and then the rest is really irrelevant. Just go for shining. If you really want to min-max, you want to be full tank, everything go for Vit, right? But for here, I'm still trying to go for a Martel's Reckoning build in the future when I do get the plus 15 weapon. Who knows when, but eventually I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to be able to like utilize the other stats better. So I don't go for full Vit over here. That's the reason why this is just all about the enchants. Now moving on to the cogwheels, this is my setup. The skills are correct, but the weight is not correct because one of my DMX just ran out. Regardless, I'm going to touch on it. Battle Rage is just so that you can spam Provoke. This is very important for aggro. Next is going to be Physic Boost as well as Management Momentum module. So this is going to be for extra HP with the Faith, and then this one is going to be for your attack speed. Like I mentioned, attack speed quite important, right? Based on the triggers, based on having the burst damage taken, so that you are able to heal back by your priest instead of being by sentries of other people. And then this last one is basically just Battle Chant Encore, and the Battle Chant Encore is quite important because it's going to mean that the potential of you having your teammates at full buffs is going to be higher. So this is basically just the cogwheels. As for alternatives, honestly, I would say that this is already covering almost everything. You do not want to get the one with the devotion, the cogwheels that allow you to reduce the damage for your devotion target, right? So I think that it is this holy light sacrifice. So you don't want this to happen because you want to take technically more damage, unless it's a very strong MVP, but in most cases you don't want this, so I don't think it's worth getting a core just for this. Similarly, Martel's Reckoning is not good because I want to do more damage to myself so that I can get more healing done that way. So this is just based off everything. It's about min-maxing about the score. It's not about survival. It's nothing like that, which is why I say that this MVP build is going to be very different from a PvP build, which is why I'm going to cover it in a separate video. Now moving on to the sigils, this is quite self-explanatory. Full defensive sigil. However, some mistake that people might make is that they would go for this Courage Blessing over here, which reduce your damage taken. No, you don't want to reduce damage taken. You want to increase it. You want to find a way to heal yourself back, and this is going to be super relevant when it comes to Deadlock Aura as well as Unexpected Rescue over here, right? Below 20%, you're going to immediately restore 50% of max HP. This is all healing done. Very insane. You definitely want this, as well as this one, as the Immortal Body and also the Silver Body. This is going to be super relevant. Restore 5% max HP per second for 10 seconds, 50% HP every 20 seconds. A lot of healing done. If I meet a less optimized priest, I can normally out heal them without question based on my sigils, and also based on the fact that I'm using Baphomet JR. Later I'm going to touch on that when it comes to the actual testing itself. So the rest is going to be Ancient Power. I'm just using Ancient Power when it reaches like maybe 1% or 2%. I'm just going to use it, and I'm also super close to having the Red Ancient Power unlocked. Previously for the two Jupiters, I've ranked I think rank 4 and rank 9, so which is why I'm able to obtain this. As for this is where the Holy Chain comes into play. This is where the 1% physical and magical attack up to 5 layers or 5 stacks is going to be here, right? So you definitely want to manually devotion the highest DPS teammate so that they can do even more DPS. This is all about the min-maxing when it comes to sigil. Lastly, I'm going to cover on the feathers. Honestly, my feather guide already covered most of everything. However, for the sacrifice build, it's going to place extra focus on HP, and the reason why I have a glory over here is because I'm trying to raise up a mixed truth, right? But this is only at level 2 even if I were to put it in, so not going to be the best, which is why I put this in. Eventually I'm going to swap out the sky tier, and I'm just going to convert all this to loose feathers to craft more mixed truth, because it's really useless. Sacrifice or Martel's Reckoning is going to ignore defense anyway, so you don't need ignore defense, and then you don't really need physical attack and magical attack. So this one here, right, is totally useless as of now. The defense feather is the main focus. You definitely want to have Mercy, you want to have Virtue, you want to have Grace, as well as lastly you want to have Terra. The night feathers over here, right, I'm going to eventually just convert everything to the day feathers, so I'm just going to maximize my day feathers, and then my night feathers is going to turn into the setup like this. So it's going to be Nature, Divine, Terra, and then for this it's going to be Grace. So I don't have enough Grace right now, so my feathers are really not the most min-max as of this moment, but I will spend some time to work on this and slowly transition into full HP build. Now for the final segment, I'm going to show you exactly what I do when I MVP using this dummy. It's honestly very easy to understand. So the first things first is my auto skills. Over here, these are my auto skills. So Provoke, Spear, Quicken, a normal attack, as well as Martel's Reckoning. This one quite self-explanatory. This one can only trigger for 5 attacks before they will do normal attack, and then once the cooldown is done, they will Martel's Reckoning again. Spear Quicken, like I mentioned, is for the attack speed, quite important, right? And then the Provoke is just self-explanatory. Always want to provoke. So this one, you are just going to turn it on, and then you're going to see how much damage I do to myself. So I zoom in a bit to let you guys see. So I'm dealing 5k, right? Sometimes I would do 5.2k depending on what I'm wearing. I get a bit more HP, I'll do a bit more of the damage to myself. So 5k while the Baphomet JR is able to heal me, and the reason why it's able to heal me so well is because I'm only doing 5 hits, and also in between that I have the Provoke to buffer, so you can see the auto heal is proccing as well. For people with plus 15 weapon, this is not going to be as easy, but with the help of a priest, I think it shouldn't be a problem. In fact, I would say that sometimes I would even go with a risky sigil as well as the choice mace, and then once it's deployed, this is one setup. So this is for medium level like bosses where I know that I'm not going to take that much damage. For extremely low level bosses, I'm even going to go one step further and I'm going to swap out another one. So this one is probably going to be swapped out, depending on whether I think that I will drop below 20%. If I don't think so, I'll just swap out Deadlock Aura for the other risky one, which is over here, Risky Roulette. With this setup, we're going to do extreme amounts of self damage so that you can heal yourself up or your priest can heal you up. However, I think that with a Baphomet JR 100%, I'm still going to be quite okay with my defensive sigils. We're just going to have a test because I don't have plus 15 weapon, right? So I'm just going to trigger this medium size. Okay, look at this. I'm dealing 5k and then I'm healing for 3k very fast. So Baphomet JR very important. If you have a higher tier Sohi, is also going to be comparable. However, my Sohi is not as strong, and also the fact that my damage from Martel's Reckoning is not as high, right? So the amount of healing that I'm going to obtain is not going to be as much as compared to having a Baphomet JR, which is going to heal me for fixed amounts of percentage of my max HP. So you can see I'm still taking quite a bit of time to die because I don't have plus 15 weapon. For people with plus 15 weapon, you're going to die very soon. And here I finally died, right? So the Osiris card cannot trigger, once again, cannot trigger from self-harm. So this is one of the points that you guys have to notice, right? Now I'm just going to switch back to the normal sigils and I'm going to show you what it's like for most of the scenarios. You probably wouldn't die if you're using Baphomet JR, but if you are using Sohi, right, then there's a higher chance that you might die. So look at this here. I'm going to switch it to Sohi over here, right? Because for some of you guys, you are free to play, you don't have a Baphomet JR, but as you can see, she's only tier 1, right? So tier 1 Sohi is not going to be the best. Although my cooldown reduction is up to 28%, even then it's not going to be enough for me to sustain. You definitely want at least tier 5 for you to sustain, because an additional 1% lifesteal, the best is tier 10, right? Tier 10 definitely going to be very good. So slowly work towards a tier 10 Sohi, but for now I'm just going to test to show you guys, even without plus 15 weapon, right, you are going to see for yourself what it's like to use Sohi with the provoke in between. So over here, the Sohi is able to sustain me quite decently well, I would say. But then once the Lucid Dream runs out, I'm going to have a tough time. And honestly, Baphomet JR is going to be so much better. You can see, right, with the Sohi's effect triggering, I'm still hovering around this damage, even though my Sigil is trying to heal me out. As compared to my Baphomet JR, it's healing so much more per second. So you're definitely going to see a difference once I switch to Baphomet JR. I might just heal back to full once again. So hopefully my Sigil don't trigger. Okay, my Sigil didn't trigger, so healing back to full quite easily, I think, because of the downtime of my Martel's Reckoning, as you can see over here. Very sick Baphomet JR. A must, if you can, right, just drop that few dollars for that. If you're really free to play, your only options are going to be Sohi and your priest healing you. And that about does it for this video where I touch on the MVP tank paladin build. I hope that you guys took something from this and then you can become a better tank after watching this. Also, if you guys are interested in a grinding build, definitely check out this Shield Boomerang Shield Chain build over here. I'll see you guys over there. This is Corky Gachas, signing off.